I'm excited to share that the biggest skincare sale of the year is happening right now. It's even bigger than Black Friday. You've heard me rave about Primally Pure products before. It's the only skincare I've trusted and loved for over 7 years. These natural, non-toxic products have totally transformed my skin. For 2 days only, November 25th and 26th, you can save 25% using the code JK25 at checkout. This is the perfect time to stock up on your favorites or to finally try what I've been obsessing over. Their cleansing oil, clarifying serum, and natural deodorants are some of my favorites. Check out my list of favorite products and save 25% by going to jennakutcher.com/skin. Skip the Black Friday rush and treat yourself to skincare that's clean, effective, and a longtime favorite of mine. Head to jennakutcher.com/skin and use the code JK25 to snag this limited time deal. That's jennakutcher.com/skin.
It's like obvious when you look at our social media and just the emails we get and our DMs, like people feel so connected to the products and connected to the brand. And I think that's because of everything that we've poured into our community.
I'm Jenna Kutcher, your host of the Goal Digger podcast. I escaped the corporate world at the age of 23 with nothing more than a $300 camera from Craigslist and a dream. Now I'm running a 7-figure online business that feels even better than it looks, all from my house in small town Minnesota with my family. Here, we value time as our currency. We mix the woo and the work, and we are in the pursuit of building businesses that give us the freedom to live lives that we love. I've always loved turning big goals into reality, and I'm here to help you do the same. This isn't just a peek behind the curtain. Come along with me and my guests as we tear the whole curtain down. Every week, we tackle practical, no-fluff marketing strategies and host honest discussions on what works and what doesn't. Join me and my expert guests for actionable insights to help you grow your dream business with confidence. Pull up a seat and get ready to be challenged, inspired, and empowered. This is the Goal Digger Podcast. What if your brand could do more than just sell products? What if it could build an entire lifestyle that transforms followers into raving fans? My guest today, Bethany McDaniel, is a master of this approach. As the founder of my all-time favorite skincare, Primally Pure, Bethany has tapped into the power of niching down, creating a brand that's deeply aligned with a wellness-focused audience who values more than just skincare. They crave a holistic approach to life. In today's conversation, Bethany and I explore how she brought Primally Pure's unique mission to life, how she's grown a community rooted in wellness and authenticity, how she's made her product an obvious extension of her customers' lifestyle, and she shares what it takes to build and attract a loyal, aligned community instead of just trying to get more customers. If you're ready to learn about how to build a business that resonates on a deeper level, or if you're looking for more ways to talk about your product without just focusing on the features of it, this episode is for you. I can't wait for you to hear Bethany's insights. And also, real quick before we dive in, I have been a raving fan of this brand for the last 7 years after Bethany slid into my DMs. If you want to see my skin transformation with your own eyeballs and learn what my favorite products are, head to jennakutcher.com/primally pure and use the code GOALDIGGER to save 15% on your first order. That's jennakutcher.com/primally pure and use the code GOALDIGGER. All right, without further ado, Bethany, welcome back to the Goal Digger podcast. When all your marketing team does is put out fires, well, they burn out, and they burn out fast. Can you relate? Sifting through leads, creating content for infinite channels, endlessly searching for performance KPIs, it all takes a toll on our productivity and our mental health. But with HubSpot, you can stop burnout in its tracks. Plus, your team can achieve their best results without ever breaking a sweat. With HubSpot's collection of AI tools, Breeze, you can pinpoint the best leads possible, capture prospects' attention with click-worthy content, and access all your company's data in one place. No sifting through multiple tabs necessary. It is all waiting for your team in HubSpot. Keep your marketers cool and make your campaign results hotter than ever. Visit HubSpot.com/marketers to learn more. That's HubSpot.com/marketers. All right. I am so happy to welcome back one of my sweet friends who I've known for so long. Bethany, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you, Jenna. It's so fun to be on again. I think this is the third time now.
Yeah. I mean, third time, it's going to be the best time because you have so much to catch up on. Like there's just so much to cover. One of the things that I have just been watching you dominate on and just cheering you on behind the scenes is your mission and how it's expanded so much, especially in recent years. I know that holistic health is a huge part of like why you started this company, but I want to know from you and your standpoint, like, what does it mean for you and your team to keep this at the forefront as you continue to grow the brand and the business?
Yeah, it's funny. It's always been so integral to the brand. Like the education has always been such a core component. I mean, pretty much equal even to our product line. And so skincare products are kind of a vehicle for us to get our foot in the door with people to then educate them on how to live a healthier life. And our community has kind of come to expect that from us. Our educational content always performs really, really well on social media, and our educational newsletters perform really well. So it's kind of just always been that way. And it's always been woven into the brand in every capacity. And so, yeah, and I think that's kind of what attracts people that have come onto the team as well. Like they see that. And so they know it's kind of what we do and it's what we've always done. And it's what we'll continue to do in the future.
You know, I love it so much because I feel like the way that you are growing the brand and the business has not just created customers, but you have created a real community. Like there is absolutely no denying how deep and how rich the community is. I mean, I have been a part of it for 7 years now, which is absolutely wild. I'll never forget when you sent me the DM after our second miscarriage. And it was just like, it just felt like this like candlelight in this cloud of darkness of like, there are things that I can do when I felt so helpless of like, how do I move forward? How do I do everything in my power to feel like the next time I go into a pregnancy, I'm just doing everything that I possibly can, regardless of what the outcome is. And so I just think what's so beautiful is that you have created just this beautiful group of humans that don't just love your products. They believe in the mission. They stand behind it. Like they live it out. And so I'm curious, like, what have you found that works really well in terms of not just focusing on customers, but actually building like a movement in a community?
Yeah, I think I've always known the importance of like connecting with customers and building trust with customers. Before I started Primally Pure, I did copywriting for other brands. And so I would write blog posts for other brands, anywhere from like a resort in Costa Rica to like this like Buddhist website, like so many different, such random things. And so through that, I really learned like the importance of connection, especially in this digital world. And we're an e-commerce brand, so we sell all of our products on our website. And I knew how important that was. And I knew that that was something that was so important to me in order to really enjoy what I was doing. And so how we've been able to build that trust is by connecting with our customers and our community through our blog. We've always put a lot of energy into creating amazing blog posts to help people to get the best results out of our skincare products. So like teaching people how to use them, but also giving people tips on how to live a healthier lifestyle, what kind of foods to eat for certain skin conditions, like all sorts of things that are going to really help people get the most out of using our products. And even if they don't use our products, like ways to help people even outside of that, if they're not ready to make a purchase yet or whatever. And we do that through our newsletters, through social media. And now we have a podcast that we started a couple of months ago that is kind of like the next vehicle of providing that education and that connection with our customer base.
Okay, I want to call out something that I just think is so important in what you just said, and I want to make sure our listeners heard it, is that the main ways that you are building community are through long form content. And I think that this is actually such an interesting theme and thread in what you're doing, because if you think about it, blog posts, newsletters, podcasts, all long form content, right? And for brands that have this like education piece where people really need to understand the what and the why, and likely your product, service, or offer is the how to get there, you have to harness the power of long form content. And I feel like people go so deep on social media. And I know you guys do amazing content on social, but I would argue that like social is kind of like the gateway into the actual content that's going to change somebody's life on a deeper level. Would you agree with that?
For sure. Yeah. And it's a big investment. I mean, not just a money investment, but time as well and resources. And a lot of that, you can't like see the tangible, like, okay, this blog post brought in this many purchases or whatever. Like it's a long game. And I think because I've just believed in that so passionately and in the power of that, it's been kind of like a no-brainer for me. It's just like, this is what we're doing. This is what's important. And this is what's going to work in the long run, like regardless of whether or not we see the numbers like penciling out right now. It's just like, it's what we're doing because I see the benefit of it. And I think like we have experienced the benefits of that through our customer retention and just it's like obvious when you look at our social media and just the emails we get and our DMs, like people feel so connected to the products and connected to the brand. And I think that's because of everything that we've like poured into our community.
Let's talk about something we all deal with, phone bills. You know that feeling when you stumble upon something that makes you go, why wasn't I doing this sooner? Well, that's exactly how you're going to feel if you switch to Mint Mobile. They're giving you premium wireless for just $15 a month on a 3-month plan. And it's not just about the price. Mint Mobile runs on the biggest 5G network in the country, so you are getting high-speed data, unlimited talk, and text without wrecking your budget. And don't worry, you can bring your own phone and keep your number along with all your existing contacts. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/goaldigger. That's mintmobile.com/goaldigger. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/goaldigger. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. When I first opened my online shop, the idea of setting it up felt so overwhelming. I had all these tools I wanted to share, but I didn't even know where to start. Then I decided to use Shopify. In less than a year, we made over $200,000 in sales, and since then, we've made multiples of that. From setting up the shop to processing payments, Shopify made everything easy and seamless. Everything just clicked. It was almost fully automated, and that allowed me to focus on creating while Shopify handled the heavy lifting. Now my shop practically runs itself. If you want to sell but you don't know where to start, you've got to use Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/goaldigger, all lowercase. Again, that's shopify.com/goaldigger to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/goaldigger. And I would argue, like, because a lot of people, especially when you're just starting out, I feel like they go strictly onto social, right? Like a lot of the time, energy, cost, like goes into like, how do I create content? How do I grow my following? And I think that's awesome. But if that's like the end game, it's really hard to get people directly off of social and into like a purchasing position.
Yeah.
And what I think is, what's so beautiful about long form content is like, I've even had it with you, with your support people where I'm like, hey, you know, one of my followers has a question about this. Can you help with this? And instead of having to sit there and manually answer the question, you already have content created that answers that question, right? And so it's interesting with long form.
I think content. I learned that from you.
Yes, because it like you're literally building out this resource library that not only helps people connect and buy the product, but it saves you support time. It answers people's questions before they can ask them. Like there's just so many different benefits. It increases your search engine optimization. And so I think what's interesting, and I said this at the very beginning of this year, I did like kind of what are the annual predictions that I'm thinking for this year? I think long form content is something that a lot of creators need to either begin or focus back in on, because I think a lot of times with those like quick hit reels and things like that, it's like you can't possibly express the entire story or the entire reason or the research or any of that in a 10-second clip with a short caption. And I think a lot of people are craving to like go deeper and to understand on a deeper level. And so I love that long form content is something that you guys have always done and that you're even doubling down on further right now.
I think it's been huge for us. And now we're kind of like, we're still committed to our blog and the success of our blog, but we are shifting a little bit of the time we put into our blog into the podcast now, because if I'm honest, like that's where I consume most of the content that I take in. And that's always been kind of a guiding like way of thinking of things for me with the brand is like, what am I doing? Because I still think of our customer as like someone like me, even though I'm 10 years older now than I was when I started. Yeah. If we're doing something that isn't in line with like how I'm living my life, then that's always kind of a light bulb for me of like, okay, what do we need to shift around here?
Yeah. And I would just like add in the caveat that as you're doing the podcast, the show notes and things like that are actually adding to blog content. And so you're kind of killing two birds with one stone if you do it right. So I'm just saying you're going in the right direction and serving people that consume content in different ways, which also too, you're getting awesome social clips out of your podcast episodes. So it's kind of like 3 birds with 1 stone, which is why I love podcasting. One of the things that I think is so awesome and why I'm so excited about this conversation is that so many people work so hard on the product, the service, or the offer itself, right? Like that is their baby. They have poured their blood, sweat, and tears into it. They want to tell everyone about it and the features inside of it. And they're just so focused on all of the things that they poured into. And I think that's a really powerful place to begin. But if that is the only way that you're positioning yourself and sharing about what you do with the world, people likely, 1, don't even know that they need your product in the first place. And 2, people don't understand why the features benefit them. And one of the things that I think is so powerful about what you've done is you've taken a really unique approach as like looking at skincare as a part of a bigger culture of wellness. And you've done this from the very beginning. And so what advice would you give founders who are maybe stuck in that position of only talking about their product, service, or offer in terms of creating this culture where your product is just a piece of the culture? You're literally building out a lifestyle for your customer where your product is a solution that is obvious to them.
Yeah, no, I love that conversation. I think you need to figure out a way to sell the lifestyle, not just the products. Like, how does this make your life better? How does this impact someone's life positively? And like, what does that look like? Like, that's the idea. That's the concept that you need to focus on selling, and not just the product itself. And for us, that's easy because like, this is what I'm passionate about. And I truly believe in it. And I believe that skin health and whole body health are inextricably connected, and you can't separate the two. And that we would be doing people a disservice if we only talked about our products and not overall full body health, because that has a direct impact on the health of your skin. And so I think the passion has to be there. And if you're not sure like how your product fits into the bigger picture, like just spend some time thinking about that. Like, what problem does this solve for people? And really focus on that, and focus on, the hope and the cool like idea and message that comes with that, instead of just like the features of the product. I mean, and those can be talked about as well, but also like how it fits into this bigger thing.
Yeah. It's kind of like that idea of like, sell people what they think they want, but serve them what they really need. And I think that the best marketers are able to do that because you're marketing to someone who, say, wants clearer skin. But what they truly need is beyond just products. They need a lifestyle change. They maybe need to change their diet. They maybe need to change their environment, different things like that. And so it's like the marketing that I think works the best is like you're hitting on what people really think they want, but you're giving them so much more than that. And a lot of times people don't pause to think about that because they're so wrapped up in the actual creation that they forget about like, well, what is this actually doing for someone? And I feel like you've done such a beautiful job of doing that, because for me, like even in my own experience with your products, which by the way, I still have this first generation bought like tube of deodorant from you, because to me, it just shows like the evolution of you and this company and just what's possible. But when I think about that, like I was really intimidated at learning how to clean up my lifestyle. Like once I started looking into things, it's almost like you can't unsee it. And I think for a lot of people that can feel incredibly overwhelming, right? Like I picture somebody sitting like at their kitchen sink and going through all the bottles underneath it and throwing everything away and being like, now what? And so what's interesting is it's like, if you can provide the path of somebody making the first choice and then guide them along the path of making the next choice and the next choice and the next choice, that's where people change their lives. And somehow you've managed to do that. What does that look like on like a back end? Like, let's say somebody logs on and they're like, okay, I can start with deodorant. I need clean deodorant. I don't want to be putting like aluminum or phthalates like on my armpits where my lymph nodes are. How do you kind of guide that person along the journey, or what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we encourage. Like just make one swap at a time. Like you don't, I mean, if you want to go all in, great, but you don't have to. And just trust that like any swap you make and every swap you make is going to be something that will improve your health, and it doesn't have to happen all at once. But once you're kind of on that journey, like that's what we love. We love supporting people every step of the way, like, and helping them kind of make that next step. And so if someone like goes onto our website, purchases deodorant to start, I mean, then they're connected with us. They're getting our emails, and our emails are oftentimes like educational, pointing people to blog posts or now podcasts. And I think our goal with that, and we have lots of different flows and things like that set up, but our goal is just to continue to be a resource, a trusted resource that people can come to for help along the way. I mean, we put a lot into our customer service as well. Like our customer service team is amazing, and we get the most detailed questions, the most personal detailed questions. And they do such a good job of really like meeting people where they're at and helping them, coming alongside them and just kind of supporting them with whatever they need help on. So that's something I'm really proud of too. I think with natural skincare, it can be overwhelming, it can be confusing, and we just try to like support people in any and every way that we can.
Can we just like, if somebody is listening to this right now and they're like, wait, crap, what is this about deodorant? Like, why do I need a new deodorant? Can we just walk through like how you started this and why? Because honestly, like when I look back, I'm like, you were kind of ahead of your time in a lot of ways, where now I feel like people are waking up to it a lot more. But like, let's just walk through a tiny bit of like the science behind Primally Pure and the products you've created, because I think people are listening and they're like, wait, why do I need to do what's going on with my deodorant? Let's talk about it.
No, absolutely. So back in 2012 is when I started researching all of this stuff, and I was looking into skincare products, personal skincare products, because I had always struggled with acne, went the conventional route, and always knew there had to be something deeper going on, but the information just wasn't there back when I was in like high school and trying to figure this stuff out. And so Primally Pure really started out of my own journey and how to figure out my acne and improve the health of my skin, and then improve the health of my whole body as well. So it started with food for me. And then I looked at skincare products. I realized that not everything sold on store shelves is safe, which was news to me at the time. And as I started researching these different products, I found that deodorant really stood out as being the most problematic one for me. I learned about aluminum in deodorant and how it blocks your pores and stops you from sweating, which sounds like a good thing, but really we want to sweat. It's such an important way that our body gets rid of toxins. And so we don't want to get in the way of that process. And aluminum's been linked to Alzheimer's disease as well. You also mentioned phthalates, which is right on. Phthalates have been found in 98% of breast cancer tumors in one study. And so it's such an absorbent area, our underarms, and it's connected to so many lymph nodes. It's close to breast tissue. And so with conventional deodorant, not only are we putting all this junk up there, but we're also sealing and blocking off the pores with aluminum and preventing the body from getting rid of that stuff and other things that it just naturally would detox from. So I was like, okay, I've got to figure out how to make a natural deodorant that works, because there were a few on the market at the time, but they were not effective. I tried them and they did not work. And so I was really committed to figuring out how to create a natural deodorant that actually worked. And I had this formula. It was baking soda and coconut oil. And I would like dip my finger into each one and rub it on my underarms. Wanted my husband to do the same thing. He was like, no, that's weird. Not doing that. So then I was like, okay, I need to figure out how to make this in stick form. And it was just a hobby that I just kind of worked on in my spare time. We were married. We didn't have kids. So after I got home from my normal 9-to-5 job, I would just go to my kitchen and like mix up different batches of deodorant. I would give them to friends and family to try, and they would give me feedback, and I would make tweaks based on their feedback. And eventually I had a formula that I was really happy with and started selling it through my family farm's website, Primal Pastures. And it just kind of took off from there. It got a really good response. I had like a small but loyal group of people that really loved my products. And eventually I just moved everything to my own website and kind of put everything into it.
Let's be real. B2B marketing can feel like trying to have a conversation in a crowded room. It is tough to get heard, but LinkedIn ads lets you cut through that noise. With LinkedIn ads, you're not just hoping your message reaches someone, you're making sure it's landing right in front of the professionals who actually matter for your business. We're talking 1 billion members, 130 million decision makers, and 10 million C-level execs. And with LinkedIn, it's about precision. So you'll be able to drive results using targeting and measurement tools built specifically for B2B. Plus, you're working with a partner who truly understands and respects the B2B world. LinkedIn ads deliver 2 to 5 times higher return on ad spend for tech brands compared to other platforms. It's no wonder 79% of B2B marketers trust LinkedIn for paid media. Start converting your B2B audience into high quality leads today. They're even giving you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/goal to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/goal. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be to be. It's insane. I mean, it's really incredible. And I feel like watching the growth, but also just watching the awareness shift. It was cute. The other day I was at my best friend from college's house and I was like, oh no, I forgot to put deodorant on. And I like ran up to her bathroom to grab some deodorant. Cause like when you're roommates with somebody, you share everything. And I like open up her drawer and there's Primally Pure in her drawer. And it was like this moment for me of like, the people that I love the most are starting to understand it and invest in that. And like, that is like such a gift, right? Like of just seeing the bigger picture of health. And I don't know, it's just such a cool moment of like, oh my gosh, even my friend who lives states away is like using this product because it's been just so life-changing. What would you say to somebody? Because I feel like we've heard this and I know you've heard this too, is like, people need the chemicals. They need the long words that they don't know how to pronounce because that's the only way that it's effective. Like, what is your argument against that? Because I think that it's something that I think a lot of people subconsciously think of like, I don't even know what's in this, but it's obviously going to work. What would you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the common or one issue with natural deodorant a lot of times is people will switch and then they'll say, well, I stink and I'm like, I smell so bad. I'm really sweaty. And our response to that is like, yeah, that's normal. Like as you detox from conventional deodorant, you're going to be extra smelly and extra sweaty for a period of time, usually a couple of weeks, but then your body kind of normalizes those processes, those detoxification processes kind of normalize and balance out. A lot of people actually find that they smell better and they sweat less than they did before. Yeah, me too.
That's me is like, I only need deodorant the week before my cycle. That's when I like notice that I actually smell. It's really fascinating. Like most days I do not need deodorant and I sauna daily, which is like, I am detoxing every day. Just so interesting.
Yeah. I mean, sweat, if you like prioritize sweating, like going in the sauna is amazing. I do the same thing. You are going to smell so much better. So much better. And if you don't have a sauna, like hot bath works great too. Like a hot Epsom salt bath. I'm surprised sometimes, like if I'm traveling and I don't have access to a sauna, I'll take a hot bath and with Epsom salts and I will like sweat almost as much as I do in the sauna.
It's amazing. So I mean, there's a lot of research behind it. It's actually really fascinating. One of the things that I think that you've done exceptionally well is you have really, and I would just say, especially in your content in the last years, like you've really doubled down on what your stances are about certain things. And I'm curious what it has felt like, because I think a lot of creators are still in this space of like wanting to like create for everyone and please everyone. And I'm not saying that you're putting out content that automatically repels people, but I think you're speaking so clearly to your people at the risk of not appealing to the mass audience. What has that looked like for you? How has it felt? And has it impacted anything within your business?
Yeah, it's been liberating in a sense. I feel like that is what keeps it fun for me. You know, I've been doing this for almost 10 years now. And some of that I think is just kind of like getting more comfortable with maybe like more critical opinions and just kind of being okay with that. Yeah. And really following what I believe is like the calling that God has put on my life, and kind of just leaning into that and tuning out dissenting opinions or whatever. And it's fine. Like, not that we want to repel people or anything like that, but like, it's just kind of more this sense of like being okay with the outcome if I think I'm staying true to like the things that I believe in the most, and not really like apologizing for that or having regrets about that.
And to be clear, we're talking about like, you're talking about like, I don't agree with certain facial treatments or things like that. We're not like going super deep like, off the deep end, but it's like,
not anything too crazy.
Yeah, no. It's nothing crazy, but I just think like you've gotten even more confident and clear in what your stance is on certain things. And I think it makes for a lot more interesting of content. And I also think that then it's just like the people that you're trying to reach are like on board, ready to rock and understand it. And I also will say that you guys do it in a beautiful way of like, everything is a personal choice with what you choose. This is just what we've seen or what we believe or what the research says about certain things. And so I think it's been really cool, because I think a lot of people kind of scream into the ether and hope it lands on the right ears. And I think that you have done a really awesome job at leaning into like some of the trending things that you might see in conventional skincare or different ways to treat different skin problems, and just given your 2 cents on what that looks like for the average person. And it's up to them to decide which route they want to go.
Yeah, I think the things we get the most pushback on are whenever we talk about Botox and fillers, the fact that we use tallow in our skincare products is something we get pushback on a lot, mostly from the vegan community. And then sun exposure, our stance on sun exposure is upsetting to some people. And I look like a tomato right now, but it's not from a sunburn.
Oh, that's so interesting. Okay. So you recently went through a massive rebrand. Like, absolutely. This was a big deal, not only in a rebrand for a lot of people that have digital businesses where you get a new logo or a new color scheme or new website. This was like extended through every piece of the brand, through the packaging, through the products, through the way that you ship your items, everything. Talk to me a little bit about that, how it came to be. Like, I know that this was a behind the scenes massive undertaking.
Yes, it really was. I mean, we hadn't rebranded since, like I had a friend make labels for me in the very beginning. And then about a year in, we switched and and we rebranded, and then haven't done anything since then. But I remember like how much of an undertaking that was when we rebranded like a year into the business. And I remember being in our warehouse with I had one daughter at the time, and she was like in the Solly wrap, and I was like working with our designer, like making sure that all the spacing was correct and the little symbols, like organic symbols that go next to the words, were in the right appropriate spaces, and like just like analyzing every label and like just poring over all of it and just how intense that was. And now we have so many more SKUs, like it's just everything has exploded. So when my team initially brought up the idea of rebranding, I was like, ooh, that sounds like so much work. I don't know if this is the year for that. And everyone kind of challenged me on it. Like, we'll work with an agency. It won't be all you. And so I was like, okay, I think we can tackle this. I mean, it definitely wasn't even close to all me. Like, it was a full team effort. And then the agency we worked with was amazing. And so, but it was still a big undertaking, like, and for the whole team, like spread across so many different people. And it went really well. Like, I'm so happy with the final product. I think it was just time for a refresh, and I wanted something that would still reflect the aesthetic that I wanted for the brand. But I think initially it had more of a, I love our old packaging still, but it had more of like a DIY feel to it. And I wanted the look to feel more elevated and yet still like earthy and approachable. So I'm super happy with how it all turned out. We still have a few like behind the scenes challenges with certain vessels, and, we've had to pull certain products out of stock because of that we're like working really hard to get back in stock. But yeah, super happy with it overall, but it was a huge undertaking.
Oh, I literally can't even imagine all of the logistics of packaging, selling through the old inventory, there's a lot to it. So it's no denying that like that was huge. I will say, like, I was telling my friend about it this weekend and I was like, okay, I am obsessed with it because you know how much of each product to use. Like, it actually has helped as a consumer in using the product even at a higher level, in my opinion. And like, even like I was telling her, like, this spray is like, it just like mists on your face and it's like, it feels so good.
Spray is
all
the best.
Little
so
things.
Much better. Yeah.
Yes. And so I was just telling her, I'm like, because I'm still working through some of the old product as I'm integrating in the new. And I was like, oh, it's an upgraded, elevated experience. So not only does it look different, but I feel like the consumer experience is different. And I think that is honestly the winning combination when it comes to a rebrand, because so often, like, I think as creators, again, we are so attached to the creation that like the rebrand doesn't actually enhance anything for anyone else except for the ultimate creator. And I feel like a true rebrand changes the experience for someone else and for the consumer. And I feel like you guys absolutely nailed that, not just with like the product, but with the messaging, the use, like everything. I just can't imagine how big that was. Totally.
Yeah. I mean, like you mentioned, like we considered every little thing, like the functionality of each vessel, and like tried to source vessels that didn't just look the way we wanted to, but also function the way we wanted to. And then also like kept sustainability in mind with the whole process and tried to make the best choices there. So yeah, a lot of different things went into it.
So one question that I have for you is that I think a lot of times entrepreneurs lead and like start the business based on the product. And we kind of touched on this, but I want to give our listeners a few tips on like, how do we communicate the lifestyle so that your product is just an obvious extension of that lifestyle? Do you have any tips of like helping your customers imagine themselves living this different life where your products are just an obvious incorporation into that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I would just think about and try to imagine like what role that product plays in someone's day-to-day life and kind of like create a story around that. So for us, sometimes that looks like an evening, like for busy moms. We have a lot of customers who are busy moms. And so imagining like an evening routine after the kids are in bed, like how to use our products and incorporate our products into that routine, along with other things, maybe like drinking a cup of hot tea or cozying up with a blanket and watching a show while you do a gua sha routine on your face. Just kind of like imagining how your product or service will like enhance someone's actual day-to-day life and like what does that look like for them.
Okay, I love that you said this because I've started this practice in my life that has been so transformative. I have to share it because you were just talking about busy moms, but exactly what you just said is I have such a hard time, I think, with ADHD and with just being like someone who is constantly in my head, like the mental load. I have such a hard time transitioning from like work to motherhood to like human, right? Like once the kids are in bed. And what has been so life-changing, and you kind of just talked about it, but I wanted to share, is that once the kids are in bed, which is usually around like 7:30, I go into our bedroom and I do like turn down service. Like picture you're at a fancy hotel and like, you know, when you show back up and like your slippers are laid by the bed, they've pulled the covers back, the lights are dim. I literally perform turn down service in our bedroom every night. And I do my skincare then, because not only do I feel like it gives my skin the chance to like absorb this skincare before I'm laying on a pillow, but it also is like this mental slow down of like, smell the oil, like feel the mist on your face. It's like kind of like when the therapist is like, say 3 things you can smell, 3 things you can hear. Like I like try to make it just this like beautiful practice. It literally takes like 5 minutes or less, but I already feel one step closer to bed. And I feel like it's something so small that I can do for myself to like get back into my own energy and like get back into like who I am and what do I need right now. And I just feel like when I leave skincare until like the minute before bed, it's rushed. You skip a few steps. You don't enjoy the experience. And so it has been, because my therapist was like, you need to create these like transitional, like 5-minute transitions between each role that you're playing, because when you're like shutting the laptop the second the kids get home from school and you're trying to like, you're halfway there, you know, you're not in on either place. So it has just been so great. And I feel like even in the morning, it's like, as soon as we wake up, like the morning is off to the races. And so even just having like 1 minute to like spritz on a toner, put on a little serum, slap on a little deodorant and get on with the day is just like that. Like, it's like a form of self-care in such a beautiful way.
Yes, I could not agree more. Like that transition is huge. I mean, creating like transitions throughout the day in any way you can is huge, but I'm fully with you on the evening routine. And I love like just massaging our cleansing oil into my skin every night is like my favorite evening ritual.
It truly is. And it's like, it's just like a reminder to like get back into your own body and like get back into your own needs. Like, I just feel like so often we feel so disconnected from like, who are we? What do we need? Like, we're just putting out fires and taking care of other people. And like my therapist was like, that is such a beautiful way to like, not only get back into your body, but like connect with like your sensual self or like your own energy in a way that's like, yes, I am in this body, in this meat suit. Like I deserve a little bit of care. And I just think not only do your products do that, but just as you just explained, like setting the stage for somebody to imagine that as a part of their daily routine helps it become a part of their daily routine, which is such a beautiful thing.
I could not agree more.
Yeah. Okay. So final question is like, what's something that you are just so excited about? Like what's something you're working on or you're Googling? Like just give us a little insight into your world right now.
Yeah, I'm working on, we have so many exciting launches coming up for next year. That's a big focus right now, just like figuring out the timing of all of that. And honestly, like right now, I feel like I'm at a point where I'm reevaluating. I have to do this every so often, but just kind of evaluating like my workload and where I'm at with family and like how to be more intentional with like how I'm spending my time. I'm sure you've experienced this, like in different seasons, things look a little bit different. Like there's some seasons where I'm like all in on family and working less and just kind of maintaining some work things. Then there's seasons where like I have a new thing going like I do right now with the podcast and I'm figuring out like how that now fits into my life. And so now I want to like, after doing that for the last several months, I'm kind of pulling back and thinking like, okay, how do I now like make all of this work in a way that feels good and feels like I'm still giving my kids like the time and energy that I want to, and still like giving my business the time and energy that I want to. So that's kind of something that I'm evaluating because I'm so excited about everything going on in life right now. Like I love being a mom. I love being with my family, love pouring into them. And I also like, I'm so excited about all of the things happening at Primally Pure, from our podcast to these new launches. One of them is a sunscreen, which has been like such a long time in the making. So there's a lot of good stuff. And I'm kind of like needing to take a step back and evaluate like how it all fits together, which is just a constant thing as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. I always feel like this stage of life for a lot of us is like you're spread thin, but it's only because of the fullness of like the experience, right? Like you're spread thin, and that is a feeling and a reality for so many of us, but it's because there's like so many full experiences happening all at once. Totally. And you're only one person. I can't wait to test out the new products. And I was laughing this morning because I opened up my drawer and I was digging around for something, and I had like 4 different samples of the everything balm of like sample 1, sample 2. Like I love to be the guinea pig of all the things. And so I'm like, yes, I love when new stuff comes out, and I can't imagine the amount of time and work that goes into it. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. We will get that in your hands as soon as we can.
Yes.
Would love for you to try it.
Where can everybody find out more about you, connect with you, learn more about what you do, and listen to your podcast? Drop all the places.
So you can head to our website, primallypure.com. And just for the Goal Digger community, you can use the code GOALDIGGER for 15% off. Primally Pure on Instagram. My personal Instagram is Bethany Joy McDaniel, I think, or Joy McDaniel. And then our podcast is Grounded Wellness. And you can watch that on YouTube and Spotify and listen on Apple Podcasts.
Thank you so much for coming back onto the show. I have a feeling that you'll be back sooner than later. Thank you for being a part of my journey. I have just had my life transformed by you in so many ways. I'm so inspired by you, and just seeing your products, not only in my own house, but used by like the people I love. It truly feels like just such a gift. So thank you for sliding into my DMs all those years ago. It literally changed my life, and it forever changed my skin. There's no denying that.
Well, the feeling is so mutual, Jenna. I have learned so much from you over the years, and I'm just so grateful for your continued support and for the opportunity to be on the podcast again. It was fun just to catch up with you and see your face again.
Aw. There is something so incredibly special about doing life and business with people you love. And Bethany is someone that I have just come to love so deeply over the years. It's honestly crazy how so much has changed and yet so much has stayed the same. When it comes to her products, they actually work. They have changed my life. They have changed my family's lives. Like, they are the products that I am constantly recommending to the people I love, because not only do they work, but they are using good ingredients that are healthy for you, that help support your body. So I hope you loved today's conversation as much as I loved catching up with my friend. And as a quick reminder, Bethany has an exclusive code just for Goal Digger listeners. You can only get this if you are a listener of this podcast. If you go to primallypure.com and you use the code Goal Digger, you will save 15% on your order. We have linked up that link for you in the show notes, in the show description. And if you want to see more about my own personal skin transformation and the products that I swear by and how I use them, you can head to jennakutcher.com/primally pure. That's PRIMALLYPURE. And you can enjoy, again, code Goal Digger just for my listeners. You're not going to find this coupon code anywhere else. All right. Thank you so much, Goal Digger listeners, for tuning into today's episode. And of course, until next time, keep on digging your biggest goals. Thanks for pulling up a seat for another episode of the Goal Digger podcast. I hope today's episode fueled you with inspiration, gave you information that you can turn into action, and realigned you with your true north in life and business. If you've enjoyed today's episode, head on over to goaldiggerpodcast.com for today's show notes, discount codes for our sponsors, freebies to fuel your results, and so much more. And if you haven't yet, make sure you're subscribed so that you never miss a future show. We'll see you next time, Goal Diggers.
Please note, this episode may contain paid endorsements and advertisements, and individuals on the show may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to in the episode. Your support through affiliate links or sponsored content helps us continue to bring you valuable content. Thank you for being a part of the Goal Digger community.